Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is the homeschool participation bill. It's been dubbed the Tebow bill. Just want to run through the current law and what this would do. Members of the committee, obviously people homeschool for a variety of reasons. You have some that do it because their kid is being bullied. You have some that do it because they think they can do a better job at home. You have some that are based on religious reasons. But what we do have is these kids who are homeschooled are being assessed each year and take a standardized test or submit a portfolio to the local superintendent to confirm that they are making the progress we would expect. With that program, we have 32,000 homeschoolers in Virginia. Now, homeschooling can do many things well with online resources and correspondence courses. These kids' academics are doing great. But one of the things they cannot do, Mr. Chair, is participate in big team sports. And it's very hard for them to find the equipment, the fields, just the size of the team. And so while there are significant basketball resources, for instance, it is very difficult for them to play football and lacrosse. And it's not simply sports, it's also things like big drama competitions, honors choir, that kind of things. What this bill would do is it would allow them to participate at the local high school where they live, where they can walk in. They have to be the right age, they have to live in the district. And you might wonder why this doesn't work already. The reason this doesn't work already is because the VHSL, Virginia High School League, has a rule that forbids it. And so to be clear, if the entire district, from the school board to the superintendent, to the principal, to the coach, to the parent, to the kid, if all of those want him to play, he can through the 8th grade. He can practice in high school, but he can't play because that's forbidden by the VHSL rules, and this bill would reverse that. It would say that cannot be a VHSL rule to have a prohibition against homeschool kids. A couple of things to emphasize before I take questions, if that's okay. The first would be the sunsets after 5 years. We'll have a chance to get rid of it because if it isn't working, in fact, it'll get rid of itself. Second, it is explicitly local option. Explicitly local option. This will not stop any county that wants to keep the homeschoolers away from doing so. It just won't let those counties from forcing those counties that do want the kids to stay out. Third, there's the argument that these kids will have a slot or a quota. No one is asking for a slot or a quota. They just want a chance to try out. And last, Mr. Chair, there is an argument that schooling should not be an a la carte menu. We hear that from time to time. In fact, more than half of the school districts already allow homeschoolers to participate in some way in the school day, take classes, take extracurriculars. Again, they can be on the play. They just can't be on the competition play with the VHSL rules. Mr. Chair, every year we bring this, every year you see a group of kids, you can hear from some this year, some of them can no longer come because they've already reached that point, they graduated, so they did not get a chance to participate in these things. They practice, they know their friends, we just ask you to give them a chance to try out. Thank you.
And you obviously looked into this, delegate, and I appreciate all your work. And you mentioned at the onset of one of the reasons among many that people choose to homeschool their children is because of bullying. And just kind of understanding the psychology of teenagers, certainly we would never condone bullying, but do you see a risk for example, a homeschooler that comes to play on the high school football team for being at increased risk to be bullied by folks on the team?
I would say, of course, there's a possibility. I would say this. I think all of us, including myself, who are older than 35, homeschooling has changed. What I mean is the image of it in the 1990s, when most of us first had our interaction with it, there were 3,000 homeschoolers. It was much more isolated in both directions. Homeschoolers would isolate themselves. Schools wouldn't want to talk about it. It was seen as a stigma to be homeschooled. I dare say that has changed dramatically. But the way I know this is when I talk to homeschoolers, one of my questions now is, how many of you have been in a public school? And it used to be none. Now it's not half, but it's typically about a third will raise their hand. I do the same thing in reverse when I go to public school. How many of you have been homeschooled? And again, it's not 50%, but a sizable proportion will raise their hands. I think that the isolated and isolationist homeschooling ideas have largely gone by the wayside. We have 10 times as many kids do it. You see kids that'll do it for the 2nd grade, 3rd grade, go back into 5th grade, then they're probably 6th grade, 7th. It's a much more permeable wall. These students, they know these kids. They work with them at the food line. They are part of the soccer league. I think one who speaks today, you're going to hear of a kid who he does play soccer with. He plays with a travel league. The problem is every spring, all of his buddies go play with a high school team, and he doesn't get to continue to play. They practice with them. They're allowed to practice. They played with them through the 8th grade. In fact, we had you may recall last year, a student came and said the coach actually was excited to see him move from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, and he had to give the coach the bad news that, sorry, coach, I can't. My mom's homeschool. And it's just we we want the parents to make the decision for academic reasons. That should be the goal. And what we have though is a setup where there are parents who will make the decision of whether to homeschool or not for an academic reason, but because their kid wants to play ball. I would like to remove that as one of the incentives. I don't want to make it bigger or smaller. I just want to say that should really be part of the conversation. I think that if you're suggesting there would be bullying, I think it might be things might do with other kids also, but I don't see it as being any different than other kids.
Good morning. I'm Amy Wilson with the Organization of Virginia Homeschoolers speaking in support of the bill. I would just draw your attention to the local option that's contained in this year's bill. This is different from last year. A yes vote on this bill means allowing school boards in your district and those in other districts in Virginia to do what they do best. Listen to local citizens and guide policy to serve the children in their communities.
Hello, my name is Eli Marcellus. I am a 14-year-old homeschooler from Goochland County. Mr. Chairman, I have a letter from Goochland County School Board. The chairman, Mr. John Wright, and the whole board voted unanimously to support the bill. We homeschoolers who play sports need an opportunity to play somewhere so we can be seen. For every homeschooler who is not going to school, it saves about $12,000 per kid. That's a lot of money. The other 29 states that allow homeschool kids to play are satisfied with their results. All I'm asking you to give me and all the other homeschoolers to simply have the opportunity to play sports. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew Wells, and I'm currently enrolled in BC Graduate School. I also play soccer for the BC soccer team. I'm the starting goalkeeper going into my senior year. I was also homeschooled, as you can probably guess. I grew up here in Richmond, and I had many public school friends that asked me to play on their team with them, but I was unable to because of this rule. And I think homeschoolers should be allowed the opportunity to be seen by college coaches in the spring. It's much harder to move forward in your career as an athlete if you're homeschooled because you do not have access to these sports.
Hello, my name is Campbell Niehaus. I'm 14 and I'm in 8th grade and I live in Loudoun County. Throughout my childhood, sports have provided a great entertainment and social environment. I've played soccer competitively for 10 years and have also played flag football during numerous fall seasons. I'm aware that club teams are available for soccer, but for football there are no other options. Although I've been homeschooled since kindergarten, I'm going to high school next year. A major factor in my decision to attend public school is the sports. It disappoints me that I'm not allowed to play the sports I love with the kids I've grown up with, in addition to learning in a manner that benefits me most. I hope you will take this bill into consideration for all of the children who have had the same experience. Thank you for your time.
I'm Josh Henderson, and I was a homeschooler. I played baseball, and I wasn't given the chance to play with a lot of my teammates that I grew up with, and these teammates I grew up with played in the public school system. And I just want these kids to have a chance to play because, looking back now, like I currently play for the Dodgers, and I got drafted by them last year. But now, looking back, I'm just like, man, it's no longer, have fun. Like, I'm having fun, but at the same time, I think back on the days where I could have been playing here with my friend. I'm just like, man, those days you can't get back, and I'm pretty sure you all know days that you wish that you could have back. Maybe sometime, I'm just saying, And I just want you all to give these kids a shot because I believe you all deserve a fair shot.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. I appreciate it. Thank you.
My name is John O'Brien. I attend and play baseball at Minnesota High School, and I support this bill. And my team, I know last year and this year, would love to have Josh on the team, and pretty sure you guys will pass.
My name is Madeline and I'm from Prince William County. My best friends go to public school and we call ourselves the AAA team. We want to play on the same team through high school. With your vote today, we'll have a chance to play together. Will you please support this bill so I can keep playing on a team with my friends?
Hi, my name is Courtney Calvert. I'm a homeschooled senior, and I live in Spotsylvania County. Since the 3rd grade, I've played softball, And over the years, I've been on many community teams that allowed me to grow as a player and a person. But once I entered high school, the rigorous teams disappeared, and the only one I was able to play on was my public high school's junior varsity team when I attended. But after I made the decision to homeschool, I discovered that I would no longer be allowed to play with my team. Since then, when I've played for the community teams, I've noticed that I've fallen behind the skill level of my other teammates. I'm upset that I cannot play with the friends that I've made, and especially when my coaches and my teammates want me to participate. Even though I will no longer benefit from this bill, opening the door for homeschoolers after me will give them opportunities that I was denied. Thank you.
My name is Rainier. I'm a 7th grade homeschool from Alexandria. I'm here this morning to ask you to pass this bill. I'm a passionate lacrosse player. I play for 2 teams. I'm a starting midfielder for the U15 Blue Crabs of Virginia Lacrosse Club. And I'm also a starting midfielder for the U15 Breakout Lacrosse Club out of Washington, D.C. Many of my 8th grade breakout teammates are likely to start the recruiting process starting next year. Fortunately, they also play for their school team. Their schools generally send a handful of players to Division I colleges every year. And it's fortunate for them because breakout doesn't field teams going to the U15 age level. I hope that you will allow me and other homeschool student athletes like me the opportunity to gain exposure to colleges as we work to doing playing at a higher level.
My name is Greg Knight. I am 17, and I'm a homeschooler of King George County. I would like this bill to pass so I can increase my skill level, because playing on the Parks and Rec and just being only to play on the Parks and Rec, it hinders your skill level. Granted, it has given me the skill level I have. It stops at some point. Thank you.
My name is Steve Bowman, and I'm 12 years old. I'm a homeschool 2nd grader from Leesburg. I really enjoy homeschooling, but I've been to a public school. If Senator Garrett's bill is passed, I will have more choices. I might be losing my decision because one of the main reasons I plan to go to high school is to play sports. I've also published 4 years and this is my 2nd year in clubs. Right now I play in most of those. These are for kindergarten through 8th grade. When I reach 9th grade, high school sports are my only option. My younger brother plans in homeschooling through high school, but he's disappointed on where I see homeschool and friends. If this bill is passed, he can homeschool during the day and go to soccer practice at high school, where he'll see his friends and enjoy the sport he loves. Several of my friends, homeschool and public school, are in support of this bill, yet not all homeschoolers will jump at the chance to play high school sports. I've spoken to several coaches, teachers, students, and parents who cannot believe that homeschoolers aren't allowed to sports access. Why shouldn't they be able to play, they ask. Having the option of homeschool sports access will make my brother very happy, and I'll have more choices when I reach high school. Thank you for letting me speak today. I hope you will support and pass this bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Mike Fitz. I'm 9th grade and I homeschool. The passage of this bill is important to me because I play competitive soccer. My soccer team has decided to take the spring season off to play for their high schools. Most teams in my area have decided to take the spring season off for the same reason. Because of this, I have no option to play during the spring season. Tonight is actually my final practice until the fall season. So while many of my teammates and other competitive players will be playing 5 times a week for their high schools, I'll have no opportunity to do so. I would just like an opportunity to try out, to have the chance to play with the players, kids, and friends that I grew up playing with and against. I'd like to thank you for your time and your consideration.
Good morning, Senate Chair and Senate Committee. My name is Sonia Henderson.
And I'm Steve Templeton, Suffolk, Virginia.
Yeah, we're homeschool parents. I'm going to say a little bit about my background. I have taught in the public school system for 9 years, and I coach also JV basketball, girls JV basketball, and cross country. And decided to come home. We have 6 children. 4 of them attend public schools, all play the HSL sports, and we're thankful for public schools and what they have to offer. Our kids, our oldest son graduated from the Naval Academy, had a basketball scholarship there, and our second oldest son attended VCU, graduate. He's a graduate with a master's in history education, and our other 2 sons went to school also. One decided not to finish. he felt that that wasn't the route that he wanted to take. But anyway, we decided to homeschool our last two children, and which one spoke of Josh, which plays with the Dodgers now. That's the choice we decided to make. I feel both sides of the rope, being that we sent our older 4 children to school and decided to homeschool our last 2 children.
It was our decision to homeschool our kids. By the way, I went to Oral Roberts University. My wife graduated from Hampton University. She played basketball here also. But student athletes. And right now we have 6 boys. My 5th born, as he stated, he was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was the #1 ranked player in the state at one time last year in baseball. He was homeschooled. Came time for the draft. They were saying, we need to see what can you do, what were you doing this last semester? The last semester of school, he was homeschooled. He wasn't able to play travel ball like he played before. And that hurt his stock in the draft. He was one of the top ranked players in the country. Okay, but the thing is though, as far as we go now, we have one more son, our 6th born. He's an excellent athlete. He plays football. He doesn't have the route playing travel ball like some of the other kids do. And all they want to do is be able to get the opportunity to try out for the local team, to play with their peers, and get an opportunity just to show that, hey, these are our friends, these are our peers, and we just want to go out and have fun and play competitive sports. We're not trying to necessarily take anybody's position. We're just trying to try for it.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure that we'll hear possibly some comments successful in a minute. But you do have a choice because you can send your kids to public school if you want to. Tell us why that's not a sufficient sound reason for you and parents.
Sir, it's not that it wasn't sufficient. It's that my wife's an educator. We're educated. And we felt that we could teach our kids also. And like you said, we're not knocking the public school system at all. We feel like the curriculum that we have has educated our children, these last 2, and from now on, and as a result, when they go to college, you know, basically, they'll just continue to move on.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and this time's not coming off.
Yeah, I mean, you are educated people. Life's about choices. Okay, you knew that. You knew the ground rules when you opted to homeschool your kids. You made that choice, and that is your choice to make. And you know, we used to have a legislator here who used to say you're either in or you're out, but you're not both. And with respect to sports, and so this is, you know, I mean, this is why this bill has some difficulties, to say the least, out here because of that.
Yes, and I understand, sir. And another thing I would say, you know, we pay our taxes too. There's no difficulty in taking our money.
Well, you pay your taxes, also purchase, you know, an F-22 jet fighter, but that doesn't give you the right to fly.
No, this is not to be a running thing, but I appreciate the testimony before us and appreciate the comments.
Like I said, sir, all we're doing is asking for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Chris Smith, Family Foundation. I just wanted to read something briefly from the New York Times article on this issue that came out last year. This debate has obviously happened in other states around the country. Officials in Florida, Louisiana, and Pennsylvania said the controversy largely disappeared after homeschool students began to play varsity sports, partly because the number of participants was relatively small. I think we get this concept that thousands of children are going to be descending on local schools to play sports, and it's really going to be a very small number. And one of the executive director of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association said, there was great opposition. Principals felt that if my school is not good enough for you, why should my athletics be good enough? Now everybody's pretty much accepting it. We had a big fuss over not much. I think that for these kids, it is a big deal. It's an opportunity, but I think that it's an opportunity that we can make way for.
Are those that do show up, are they guaranteed an opportunity to play?
The only thing they have is an opportunity to try out. Exactly.
Members of the committee, Todd Vanderfall, Hanover County parent, 4 children, 17 through 24. Oldest daughter went all the way through the public system and graduated from VCU. And the other 3 went in and out of public and homeschool. But 2 items. One is Hanover County just mentioned they spend over $900,000 a year on athletics, in addition to $1 million that's raised privately. So as a homeschooling parent, I've saved them tens of thousands of dollars myself by taking my kids out of that public system. That's money they can use for those sports programs and other things. The other thing was the bullying, which in the past, I could see that as a possible issue. But I don't know of any homeschooling children today that aren't integrated through church activities with public school kids, through other sports associations with public school kids. I really don't see that being an issue at all. Thank you.
Candace Lucas, advocate for families with disabilities and children of color. The simple question is, are you going to act in the best interest of children? We can get into the politics and everything, but are we going to act in the best interest of children? A growing number of our parents are choosing to homeschool because the schools are not meeting their needs. And they're making sacrifices to homeschool their children with autism, their children with behavior disorders. They're making that difficult choice. And to not allow our children to be acclimated into the sports system, which is usually where they find their greatest confidence a lot of times and interact with their peers. And it actually reduces bullying to interact with your peers and rebuild a relationship with them. So I strongly encourage this Senate to support that bill and forget the politics for a second and decide what's best for children. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jillian Sherman. I'm a state employee. I work full-time for the state. I work double-time as a mom. And my husband is a stay-at-home dad, homeschooling both of our children. My son is 8 years old with Down syndrome, and my daughter is 6 years old and is slightly precocious. We chose to pull my son out of school because even with an IEP, his teachers had too many kids to deal with. We were the best source of his education, even when he was in school. They told me he couldn't read. He can't talk, but darn if I believe that he can't read. You should see the video games he plays and the instructions he follows. My daughter has been reading since she was 3. She read the first book in the Little House on the Prairie series at 3 years old, out loud to me. They will not benefit from this bill if it passes and does not get reenacted when it's up for expiration. But I believe this is the right thing to do for our kids, and I would ask you, is there a good reason to keep them from participating with everybody else? You see children with special needs participating in high school sports all the time. Is there a good reason to keep completely physically capable children who happen to be homeschooled out of the same sport? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Ken Tilley with the Virginia High School League. Public schools in Virginia join the VHSL each year with the express written authority of their local school boards. 313 member schools and their 132 school boards agree to comply with all VHSL rules, regulations, and policies. About half of Virginia's nearly 400,000 public high school students participate in VHSL sports and academic activities each year, and every student must meet each of the 13 individual eligibility standards that have been set by those schools in order to compete. These common standards are a baseline. Local schools or school divisions can be more restrictive, but not less restrictive. If it were totally local option, you'd have 132 different standards for eligibility purposes. 2 rules in particular, the enrollment and scholarship rules, have been in existence for 100 years, since the very first state competition that the league sponsored. Homeschoolers do not meet those essential requirements. We respect and support the rights of families to make decisions in the best interest of their children. We know that many homeschoolers are active.
Just a quick question. I'll leave it myself, but under any set of circumstances, have the rules over that 100 years ever been changed?
Yes, we regularly review the rules. We've met repeatedly with the homeschoolers. We've made modifications.
So your point about 100 years was what then in that case?
was that there were at least the two basic rules that are not covered by the bill in particular have been around for 100 years.
Mr. Chairman.
And, all right, and I interrupted him. Is that okay? Okay. Senator Garrett, do you want to ask it now or wait until it's finished?
I'll let him finish.
Okay, thank you. Courts have consistently ruled that participation is a privilege, not a right, and that while parents may make choices about how their children are educated, state associations may certainly decide the rules which govern eligibility and competition that they sponsor. You've heard references to the number of states that have made allowances and accommodate homeschool students. There are 31 state associations that are either like Virginia, whose rules do not allow for participation, or they require enrollment. Homeschoolers and their advocates have testified that it's not fair to treat them differently, that they don't expect preferential treatment, that they agree to meet the same requirements as public school students, but they have chosen a different education path, and I strongly urge you not to create a small elite group with separate and lesser standards. So I ask you to vote no for House Bill 1440.
Senator Garrett.
Yes, sir. Mr. Tilley, you represent VSHL?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to read to you from the bylaws of the VHSL. Quote, no substantial part of the activities of the VHSL and shall be to disseminate propaganda or otherwise attempt to influence legislation, and the Virginia High School League shall not participate in or intervene in any political blah, blah, blah. That's what you're doing here today, isn't it?
No, sir.
You're not trying to influence legislation? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Chairman.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but you're not trying to influence.
I'm commenting on legislation that has been proposed.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on. Senator Garrett, and then I'll be moving to
Mr. Chairman, as quickly as I can, I want to, again, from the VHSL website, few experiences enrich the lives of boys and girls as much as participation in interscholastic athletics and academic activities. For nearly 100 years, the VHSL has provided opportunities for Virginia's youth to engage in a variety of activities and competitions that promote education, personal growth, sportsmanship, leadership, and citizenship. And over 200,000 students across the Commonwealth participate each year in 27 different sports and academic activities. Through their participation, these future leaders learn skills and life lessons that will be the foundation of who they are when they're adults. Since 1978, participation in VHSL activities has more than doubled. In the past decade, the leagues have 19 state competitions for boys and girls, as well as nationally renowned student leaders conference. Today, VHSL sponsors 91 highest quality state teams and championships, offers evaluation services, workshops, for student publications. Quote, still, our young people need these programs to be winners in life. Why does it apply to some students and not others?
It applies to the students who are members of and enrolled in, who are students in VHSL member schools.
Mr. Chairman, one final question.
Yes, Senator Garrett.
Do the excellent athletics and programs administered by the VHSL also help kids who aren't enrolled in our schools?
If the rules were changed, yes.
Thank you.
Would you have been working to try to change the rules or not?
We have been communicating with the homeschool groups to find out if there were any compromises or anything that we could do.
Hi, Chairman Martin, and members of the full committee. My name is Ann Carson. I am the president of the Virginia Parent-Teacher Association. I'm a Henrico County parent. We represent over 300,000 members. For the past few sessions, as you know, the Virginia PTA has spoken in opposition of some version of this bill. I'm here today to reaffirm that position and let you know that this fall our members voted overwhelmingly again that participation in scholastic activities is a privilege that should be reserved for public school students, who, by the way, as you can see, are not here today because they're in school as they're required to be. Our students want you to know that their spot on the basketball team is often what keeps them attending school, following the rules, and studying to pass their SOLs. Our parents want you to know that when they choose their schools, they do it thoughtfully and methodically.
And when they do commit to the school environment of their choice, they understand there are certain opportunities that are guaranteed, certain ones that students won't get, and most importantly, opportunities their children will have to earn by participation in interscholastic programs. Our parents believe that a level playing field means all the athletes go to the school the same amount of time, practice the same amount of time, follow the same rules, and meet the same requirements. Our parents take these bills seriously. They believe in our public schools. They voted again that public school athletics should be reserved for the over 1 million public school students that we are responsible for educating in this state. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just have a question for the Senator Carrico.
I heard you make the comment that you're taking away the guaranteed spot for the basketball team. Just because you go to public school, are you guaranteed a spot on the basketball team?
Certainly not. Not when a parent tells me that over 100 students try out for a 9th grade basketball team where 12 students are selected to serve.
So what you're saying is those individuals have to compete to have a spot on that basketball team.
Most certainly, there are not enough opportunities for
Is that not
them.
what these other students are asking for? A chance to compete?
They're asking for a chance to compete, yes. However, they made the choice not. It is a guaranteed opportunity for students in public schools to have that opportunity to play sports, which many, many times keeps them in school.
The chairman has a question for you. I have a question for you. And I only raise this question because just what you said just jumped out at me today. Parents made a choice and chose where they wanted their students to go. They settled on a school. Now imagine what you're talking about is to settle into this school district or a school.
Correct.
We have 6 school friends that I'm aware of for the last 5 years have just failed miserably year after year teaching their students. And they're not willing to take the advice of those that are trying to help them out at the state level. They're trying to deal with this. There are no private schools, and one of those jurisdictions is only one that I'm aware of that even exists. And there certainly isn't room for these students to even go. Parents in those communities choose. Their choice has to be for the kids' sake, to find an alternative way. They don't have the money to move to the neighborhood that you're talking about. They don't have the money to send them jobs. That choice is not there for them. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you all should be doing something about that. That's what my thoughts are.
Wow.
Don't get me started. We are talking about educating 1 million students in the state of Virginia. And we are spending so much time.
Would you support giving that child the same choice to go to the neighborhood school that parent with money has chosen to send them?
I'm not sure that's a fair question to ask at this point. Well, repeat your question so I understand.
Would you agree that we should, you said the state should do something. Do you agree that we should give the students we just spoke of the choice of state money, the opportunity to go to the same school that parents with money have chosen to go to?
You know, at this point, I'm not prepared to answer that question.
I only ask questions because you raised your point.
Well, my point was that we just need to do what's right for our public school students. Thank you.
But not anyone else.
I remind the chairman that this, like I said before, they all got a choice.
And I just laid the choice out for parents. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bill Kerr. I'm the Director of Student Activities and Athletics for Fairfax County Public Schools. I represent our Superintendent Jack Dale on the school board in that capacity. We are unanimously opposed are openly opposed, the school board's not unanimous, but openly opposed to this legislation. Beyond all those representations, the most important person I represent is Hannah Curran, a 15-year-old daughter, freshman, 3-sport athlete at Endell High School, who this morning as I left wanted me to make sure I represented her as well and told you she's opposed to this and to this legislation. You might dismiss that because she's a daughter. You've probably heard me discuss that a few times. The only point I want to make, and I'll be brief, collectively I heard in the first two speakers that there seems to be this belief that there's a wall of separation between the school day and the athletic practice. There is not. In Fairfax County, that is part of our education process. It continues, the same character, the same lessons we teach on the field and the practice facility. It continues to go. In the tryouts, and when you try out for a team, it is not in a bubble of that simple part. It is part of the overall school participation piece that counts as well. Thank you.
I'm Bruce Bowen, a retired high school athletic administrator, coach, teacher from Hermitage High School here in Richmond, and I also represent the Virginia State High School Athletic Directors Association, commonly known as the VIAAA. We are not in support of this bill. That's both public and independent schools. As there's a growing number of homeschoolers, there's also a growing number of outside sports organizations available to homeschoolers. And these organizations can provide the positive aspects of participation that they are seeking. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Wilson. I am a school board member in the city of Harrisonburg. I'm also on the Virginia School Board Association's board of directors. I am currently their president-elect. As my day job and the one I get paid for, I am an admissions representative at James Madison University. I live, eat, and breathe education every day. I have 2 college students, both of which went through public schools K-12. And I am here today to speak on behalf of the VSBA and the 800 plus school board members from across the Commonwealth in opposition of this bill. Last year, in response to similar legislation, the VSBA Board of Directors formed a discussion group that was comprised of stakeholders from the homeschool sector, from the public school sector, and from the Virginia High School League. And they met to have collaborative discussion and to gain a better understanding of the issues and concerns from all parties involved. And as you can imagine, there was no consensus on whether or not public or homeschool students should participate in VHSL activities. But what became abundantly clear from the discussion group was that more work needed to be done in order to develop good legislation that addresses all the concerns from both sides, from all sides, all the concerns and issues that clearly exist. And so I'm asking you to vote no on this and have more discussion, further discussion that addresses everyone's concerns and needs. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Yes, Senator
Yes.
Just a quick question. I mean, there's an implication there, Mr. Chair, that you are close to some kind of agreement, or that you think that there's some headway in the community, or?
No, sir. The discussions have started. Just asking that they continue and to try and come to some consensus and some legislation that can be developed, perhaps, to address everyone's concerns and needs. Clearly, there are many.
You're the president, Mr. Chair, you're the president-elect of this organization.
Of the
So
Virginia
you're
School
in a
Board.
position to make that conversation continue?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Senator Martin, members of the committee. My name is Meg Gruber. I'm the president of the Virginia Education Association. I've taught in Virginia public schools for 32 years. Why do we have public schools? Why do we have bills in this committee governing public schools? I thought our public schools were supposed to be about academics and standards of learning and standardized testing and everything else you put public school students through. That's part of the package of being a public school student. And part of that package is a rounded education which includes activities, including sports. But our students in public schools have measurable standards set by the state that must be met to participate in sports. We need an equal playing field for our students. I'm sure parents who homeschool probably do the best job they can, and I'm sure it could be excellent. But how do we know that for sure? Are they taking the SOL classes and tests that our students are taking? How do they determine their grade point average to see if they could be competitive? If they're eligible to the same playing field as our students? We've heard all kinds of arguments this morning about people paying taxes. I pay my taxes too. I wasn't blessed by the Lord to have any children. Should I have a percentage rebate on my taxes because I don't have kids in public schools? Should I find a kid to put in a public school? I mean, come on, that's not a good argument. We pay our taxes for the betterment of all of our citizens. And we make choices, therefore, whether or not where we want our children to go to school. We make choices every day in our life that we know the consequences of. I believe that our public school students are held to a different standard, and therefore, as part of that standard, gives them the opportunity to compete and represent their school and build school community and school spirit. Not community spirit, but representing that high school. I again urge you to oppose this bill. That until we have all the students being measured the same way to the same standards, then they can't compete on the same playing field because you're not making it a level playing field on the academics. We know our children have to be in a full day curriculum on Friday to compete Friday night. We don't know that about any other students but our own.
Chairman Tom Smith, Superintendent's Association. I'll try to be real brief. First, I want to congratulate the young people who came up here today. That took a lot to do that. I'm not sure I could have done it at their age. There is one observation I would like to make, and that is you heard from one young man who talked about being homeschooled and playing at BCU. That's a state-supported school, receives tax dollars. He is on the soccer team, I believe he said, which I congratulate him for, but he's enrolled. I believe the NCAA requires enrollment, so we already have state-supported institutions that have competitive sports that are governed by a private association that requires enrollment. So that's just an observation I wanted to make. Again, I think the key point I wanted to say is congratulate them for being up here. That took a lot. Thank you. And we oppose the bill.
Good morning, Ed Lamming and Rico Schools, and I would just share a story about this issue. Certainly, it's been debated, but I think this particular example shows that our school board is so staunchly supportive of making choices. We have students that are eligible to go to the governor's school. They have tested, they've been accepted, and then they've got a choice to make. If they want to play football, they cannot go to Maggie Walker Governor's School because they don't have a team. And this happened. The student wanted to play for his home school in Henrico County. He wanted to play football and go to Maggie Walker. The HSL says that's not allowed, and our school board supports that, and the family ended up making that decision for their family. So just wanted to kind of give you one more example of how this plays out, and we support the choices that people have to make, and then what happens after you make those choices.
Yes, in the bylaws, the question sort of, the bylaws for VHSL, it actually says if you go to a charter school that doesn't offer an athletic program, that you may opt into the athletic program at the locality where you reside, so that wouldn't apply to the governor's school. I mean, I'm reading from the bylaws of VHSL. Because it would be tragic.
I'm not sure, sir, but I don't think the governor's school would be classified as a charter school. I'm not sure.
I don't know either, I just think it would be a real tragedy.
And Mr. Tilley probably could do a great job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Members of the committee, I'm Tracy Alejandro, and I'm the principal at Verona High School, right down the road here. I'm also the parent of two students, a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old. Neither of them are here today, nor are my students, but you may remember them because they did come last year to testify before you. They are not here today because they are in our gymnasium today cheering for our all-star basketball team, a group of students who have severe and profound disabilities who participate on an inter-squad league between different high schools throughout Henrico County because they attend public school at Verona High School. I'm here today because I'm interested in making sure that you understand that we are opposed to this bill. I'm opposed as a parent, as a principal, and as a member of the VHSL Executive Committee. I served on the board, or the discussion group rather, last summer, where we discussed things with the VSBA and a variety of groups, including VASSP, VASS, VAPTA, VAIS, VHSL, and homeschoolers. And all of the groups, with the exception of the Homeschool Association, is opposed to bills such as this. Thank you.
Deputy secondary school principals, chairman, members of the committee. We do not support this bill, however, we support all students. We support a level playing field. You hold our students to a very high educational standard, and we think that's correct and right. We do not support this bill. Thank you so much.
All right, the bill is before us. Because the question was asked a few minutes ago, why do we have public schools? I want to address that because that is very important. And what followed why we had public schools, was a list of rules, standards, and an argument for school spirit, promoting school spirit. Why we have public schools has not a thing to do with the rules that help the government whatsoever. The reason we have public schools is to make sure that no matter where our children come from, economically, socially, or geographically, that those children have an opportunity for a quality education. That's the reason. And it doesn't have anything to do with any rule or guideline that we might impose as a result of that, and it certainly has not a thing to do with school spirit. And with that, the bill is now in front of the committee. Do you want to make any closing comments?
I might have no more than 2 minutes just to talk about some of the issues that were raised. First, I want to emphasize this is entirely a local option bill. The gentleman from Fairfax made it very clear that Fairfax doesn't want it, wouldn't use it. It wouldn't have to. Mr. Chairman, the gentleman brought a letter from Goochland. They said, please let us do it. Fairfax can have whatever rules it wants, but don't have Fairfax making rules for someplace else. It's just not right. I don't have to pick it on Fairfax. Ragland apparently wouldn't use it either. These counties are not just saying we don't want it, we're saying and you can't. That's the first thing.
Let's get off out of that rule.
Second thing, there's been talk about other options that homeschool kids can do, the soccer and all these other sports leagues. I would say to those of you in the more wealthy or urban areas of the state, we don't have those options everywhere. Fluvanna County, Sioux Stoplight County that I represent, aside from the public high school, there is no other school in there. The parents who don't have a good fit for that school, their only option is to homeschool, and the only place to play is at the school. It's literally their only game in town. Please give those students a chance. Third, the senator from Fairfax, as he said before, that the parents make a choice, and the choice they're making is whether to homeschool, which is what they think is best for their kids' academics, or to take a choice they would rather not do, but to do it so that they can have athletic options. This doesn't have to be their choice. Yes, that's the choice we have now. The whole point of this is to say we don't have to make this an either-or thing. Schools around the Commonwealth are breaking down that wall. More than half the schools allow homeschoolers to come in and take classes. We hear every year, oh my gosh, what's next after football? I want to take physics. Yes, they will, and it's happening, and it's working fine. I would just say that every year that goes by, there's an 18-year-old who is dying to play at his school, represent his community, and every year we say, too bad. There'll be another 18-year, I guess, but that kid never gets his chance back. I beg you to look into your hearts and find a way to pass this bill.
Bill before us to report. Second. Second, bill to report. Clerk will call the roll.
Just a report, Mr. General.
Senator Sasslaw? No. Senator Lucas? No. Senator Howe? No. Senator Newman?
Aye.
Senator Blevins? Senator Locke?
No.
Senator Barker?
No.
Senator Northam?
No.
Senator Miller?
No.
Senator Smith?
Aye.
Senator Borders?
Yes.
Senator Black?
Aye.
Senator Carrico?
Aye.
Senator Garrett?
Aye.
Senator Martin?
Aye. The bill fails to report on a vote of 7-8.